the rain. I don't know why. It's just awesome to see them in the rain. Now, they've just come down off their branch there, so I'm going to try and reposition myself a little bit. Just hold on. Sorry, there's a little thicket here, and the guys have stopped in front, so I can't actually go anywhere else. So I'm going to try and just come around this way. But there we go. There is our two spotted cats. So Thandi and Thamba together. They've had a rough morning. They had those dogs chasing them around and stole their carcass. So I think now they're trying to start moving towards an area where they can at least get some sort of shelter and sanctity and get away from this horrible weather that's falling down on them. Now, I can only see, this looks like Thamba that we've got closest to us at the moment. Thandi was here, so they were both together, so I'm sure she is around here somewhere. And I'm sure she's going to appear. He's obviously going in there. Now, we are right on the boundary of Little Gowrie and Chitwa, so if they continue in this direction, unfortunately we're probably going to have to leave them, but it's still a nice surprise just to get to see them for a little bit. So I'm just waving hello to Steph and Chantal from Chitwa. They're the managers at Chitwa and have kindly invited us into the sighting, so always good to say hello to them. And we go back quite a long way. I've spent a lot of time with Steph and Chantal when I was at Chitwa. They started in my last year there, so I know them quite well. So nice to see the two of them again. But I'm trying to just keep up with these two leopards, but they really are not making life easy. They're going through some horrible stuff. Let's see now if they aren't. There we go, they're just in front here. I wonder if they're not going to go into this thicket just to try and get out of this rain. Let me go around this thicket quickly. Oh, I don't know if we're going to even see them inside here. Oh, hello, guys. Here we are. It's a little Thamba in front, Thandi at the back. And you can see, look how big he's getting. He's almost the same size as her these days. Hello, my girl. And look at the size of their bellies. They've had a really good feed on that waterbuck that they had. And isn't it amazing that a leopard of that size is able to bring down these massive waterbuck? And you can see little Thamba, he's coming right up towards us here. Hello, my boy. Are you interested in what's going on? Isn't that amazing? Isn't he beautiful? I still think he's got the most incredible markings. He's such a dark gold coloration with those sort of blacks around the face. He's such a pretty animal. And you can see Thandi's looking for somewhere where she can rest up for shelter because of this rain that's falling. So she's in here. Now we are going to just sit quietly because Thandi can be a little bit aggressive sometimes when she wants to be. Well, not aggressive, she's just very defensive of her cub. Now I need to get out of the way because she's so close. And I wonder if little Thamba is going to come back again. Are you coming back? Yes, he's sneaking up behind us. So Senzo, he's going to come on your left-hand side. If you want to know where he is, he should be just there behind you. I'm sure he'll make an appearance shortly. Now, he's just sniffing around and being his usual self. He's quite an inquisitive cat, and he likes to move around and kind of do his own thing. But there he comes. Hello, little boy. Your belly is massive. Now, what's interesting is that this is an area there where we used to see Karula quite a bit, is where they're heading now. So with Karula's sort of absence at the moment, it seems like Thandi's pushing a little bit further east, although I have seen her in this area a few times as well, so it is not that uncommon to have her here. But I wonder if they're not going to go north. It would be really nice if they did go north, because then they would be crossing onto Djuma, and to have these two on Djuma for a few days would be really nice. Look, he's stalking his mom, so you can see still a young leopard, still lots of sort of play in him, and he's got behind the bush, and mom can actually see him. She's not too fussed, but he's just watching and hoping that mom is going to come closer to him, and then he can go bounding after her. Mom's ruined the game, she's walked off, and he's going to have to then play catch up a little bit. But I think he was hoping that she was going to come towards the bush and she could then, or he could jump on her. So, Julia, if you look at, not all of the wild cats in this area have rounded ears. So if you look at the smaller cats, things like caracal, serval, wild cats themselves, they all have very pointed ears like domestic cats, whereas the bigger cats, so lion and leopard, do have these rounder ears. Now, the difference between them and why they have these sort of different ears is anyone's guess at this stage. I'm not 100% sure. It might be to do with the fact that because the big cats are so much bigger, if they had big pointy ears, they would be easily seen by prey items. It could be to do with that. Also, a sort of rounded ear like that, it helps them to be able to hear, and they can pick up quite a bit of sound. So I would imagine it's probably to do with picking up more sound and being able to work out better where things are. So that's normally why. Now Thandi has run off into the bush. I think she's chasing something. Little Thamba is still on the termite mound, so we're going to have a look, but we're right on the boundary now, so we're going to have to probably leave them here, because if we go any further, then we'll be crossing into Little Gowrie, which we're not allowed to do. So I'm going to try and just get a view of Thamba on his beautiful termite mound, because he's looking ever so stoic on top there. There we go, look at that. Isn't he beautiful? There he is. And you can see he's a bit damp and wet. Now, I wonder if it won't be better if we go around to the front. What do you think, Senzo? I think it's going to be better if we go in front, because this tree is blocking his face. And we want to see his beautiful face, because he is such a pretty boy. Are you going to chase after Mom? You can see from up there he's watching his mother. She then went off into this direction, so she went in front of us, and I can't see her anymore. In fact, she's actually disappeared, so she's somewhere in front of me. Now I'm going to go forward a little bit for you so that you can see his face, and so we can get a nice view of him. And hopefully if we just go through this little gap here, then we should be able to see quite nicely. There we go. How's that, Senzo? Is that better? Isn't that beautiful? He really has the most incredible coat. Do you see how gold he is? That termite mound is very wet, and it's almost red in coloration. And so you can see his coat is just as dark as those termite mound. Now, what's happening here, and the reason why you see how interested and sort of perked up he is, and he's watching very carefully, and the reason why he's gone up to the termite mound is because there is a big elephant bull that is just in front of us here and is breaking branches, and so that's caught the attention of this little cub, and that's why he's watching the way he is. I wonder if the elephants are not going to come this way, since I don't think you might be able to see them. There's some ears flapping there in front of us. So Daniel, I think Thamba will get to the same size as Hosanna. Don't forget, he is about 4 months younger than what Hosanna is. So you're going to have to come out, Senzo, a little bit higher there. There's Thandi moving, and the elephant is just above that. Now, he is going to probably end up in a similar size. He's got massive, massive paws like Hosanna had, so he really is quite a big boy in that regard. And I would imagine that, yes, he probably is going to be a similar size to what Hosanna will be. They're both going to be really nice individual leopards, and so I'm hoping that he will get really big. And if he doesn't, he's still going to be a beautiful individual. Now, Waba Yizo, who was also an offspring of Thandi, he became quite large. Look at that now, he's watching his mom as she moves around in the thickets here. It's time for you to catch up, otherwise Mom's going to leave you behind, naughty boy. But just judging by the size of his ears and his paws, he definitely is going to be a massive individual, and he will be quite big. Like I say, he's already bigger than probably Vatumi is, and he's much younger, so I would imagine that he's going to be seriously large, and even Hosanna himself might have a bit of competition from a male of this size. I always love cats when it's wet and rainy like this, because they get... So, Ali, you're wondering how long he's going to stay with Mom. Well, it depends on moms. Often the mothers will have varying sort of times where they will... Oh, he's calling? Where they'll stay with Mom. And so Thandi, when she's left her previous litters, have all been sort of just under 2 years old. So anywhere between 14 months and 2 years, somewhere there is how long he'll stay. But he was calling a little bit now. He's stopped. I think he can hear the elephants, and that's now made him stop calling his mom. But what's interesting is they have left the carcass. Listen to him calling. So unfortunately he's not calling very loudly, but every now and then he's letting out this little squeak, and he actually sounds more like a cheetah than a leopard. He's got a sort of squeaky little voice which doesn't fit his bill at all. Now, Rebecca, you were wondering if Thandi would have taught Thamba to avoid elephants. Well, yes, she would have probably shown him many times that elephants need to be sort of stayed away from, and that's probably why Thamba went straight up onto the mound to be able to see what's going on. But you can see Thandi's not too concerned about the elephants. She walked off in the direction of the elephants, and she'll slink in amongst them and be able to try and sort of get away from the elephants. And maybe Thumba's a little bit more nervous, and that's why he's just waiting and calling his mom. Now, we were trying to turn up our microphone so you could hear him calling, but with all the rain that we've got, it's making such a noise that it's probably not going to hear him anyway. So we'll hopefully try and pick it up through my microphone, but it's not coming through very loud at this stage. So, Julia, they've got quite a few variations in their calls. So they've got that sawing, deep, territorial call that they make. Then they've got these little soft contact calls that we hear now, where it's just these sort of low little sort of squeaks and grunts that they make. And then they've got a sound which is called chuffing. So chuffing is when they go and that's normally when the mom calls the cubs. So that's when you'll get a bit of chuffing going on. Now I'm going to just try and sneak around here so we can still see Thamba. I see Thandi is drifted very far from here, so it's not going to be easy to see her anymore. She's basically gone now, and I think they're waiting for the elephants to move off before she carries on. But let's just try and quickly reposition ourselves. Like I say, I'll try and see if we can't get ourselves into a nice view of... Hello, boy. Isn't that nice? Wow. Now we're in the pound seat here. There we go. Now that is absolutely spectacular. Isn't he the most beautiful cat? Have you spotted Mom? Well done. I think he's seen his mom now, and that's why he's watching. But look how wet he is. You can see all the water on his fur. And there we go, there he comes down. Look at the size of his paws as well. See how massive they are? It's almost the same size as his head. So, Preetam, you're wondering how we differentiate between Thandi and Thamba. Well, Thandi is quite a small female, and she's got a very small kind of rounded little head, and her ears are very much in proportion to her head, whereas Thamba has got these massive ears in proportion to his head. They don't really look as though they are his. Whereas Thamba also has very, very big paws, and he's not quite as tall as Thandi just yet. So that's how we tell at this stage. I'm sure a lot of the viewers out there will have spot markings that they will use in order to be able to ID the two of them. But for me, I've seen Thandi so much that I'm able to identify her pretty much just from look. So that's how I sort of differentiate. But the ears and the paws on Thamba at the moment are a telltale sign. Now, unfortunately, off that termite mound means he's crossed into Little Gowrie, so we're going to have to leave the two of them. It's been an absolute pleasure, at least, to find them, and we're going to try and start heading closer to home in case the deluge comes down again and we get a little bit too wet. And while we do that, let's go across to Miss Patterson and see how she's doing in the rain and whether she's faring better than what we are in trying to stay dry.